On the day I was disengaged, I waited outside the Wei Ning Marquis's residence all night, wearing a veil hat. At dawn, Lin Shenju returned on horseback, stepping on the dew. Seeing me, he sneered coldly. What? Unwilling to break off the engagement, before I could respond, he dismounted, pinning me against the pillar, and raised an eyebrow, saying, "If you beg me, I can let you enter the mansion as a concubine." I lowered my eyes to his wrist, where the red string of the matchmaker had been, now replaced by a dark protective wristband embroidered with a frosted tea flower. "No need, just return the red string to me," I said softly. He spoke nonchalantly. "Last night, I was watching the stars with Yuan Shuang at the top of Wenti Mountain. Yuan Shuang gave me this wristband, and the red string was probably blown off the cliff by the mountain wind." I turned and left. Later, I kissed the crown prince in front of him. Lin Shenshu's gaze at me gradually turned crimson. That night, he searched all night for a red rope at the bottom of Wenting Mountain Cliff. After my parents passed away, I lived with my uncle and aunt. Uncle and aunt weren't kind-hearted. After taking over the family property left by my parents, they sent me to live in a village. At the age of 10, I met Lin Shenju there. Lin Shenju was the legitimate son of the Marquis of Weining, of noble birth, but he had a vicious stepmother, just like me, with a bitter fate. His stepmother was his real aunt, who should have treated him very well in theory. However, she was two-faced, and with a few whispered words, the Marquis of Weining grew distant from Lin Shenju. Lin Shenju was sent to the Lin family manor by his stepmother, who falsely accused him of wrongdoing. He grew restless at the manor and deliberately caused trouble for the servants, catching fish from the pond, roasting them haphazardly, and forcing the servants to eat them. Our two manors were adjacent, and I witnessed this scene while gathering wild vegetables. I couldn't stand to see him waste food like that and stepped forward to dissuade him. After much persuasion, in the end, it turned into him pouring out his grievances to me. I earnestly comforted him, and his mood visibly improved. Not only did he promise to have a serious talk with his father once we returned, but he also gave me 2 fish to take home and eat. "Little girl, these fish are my betrothal gift. Since you've eaten my fish, you'll have to marry me in the future," Lin Shenju said behind me. I was startled, and the fish I was holding suddenly felt like a hot potato. He laughed heartily when he saw my reaction. "I was just teasing a child. Why are you so scared?" I breathed a sigh of relief and took the 2 fish back to dry them, savoring them for a long time with great care. After that, Lin Shenju would often come to the manor to play with me. He told me, "I used to think, since they say I'm rotten, then I'll just keep rotting, indulging in cockfighting, dog racing, drinking, and gambling, since that's how they see me anyway. But then I realized, this is really no fun. You didn't give up on yourself even when your uncle and aunt took over your family's property, so what am I even complaining about? It's great that you think that way." I genuinely felt happy for him. Lin Shenju promised me, "Once my father has me appointed as the heir, I'll help you reclaim your family property from your uncle and aunt." When I was 15, Lin Shenju was 18. Despite years of effort, Lin Shenshu's stepmother had not been able to bear any children for the Marquis of Weining. On Lin Shenshu's birthday, the Marquis of Weining officially appointed him as the heir. Lin Shenju fulfilled his promise and helped me reclaim the family property that rightfully belonged to me from my uncle and aunt. I moved back to the Jiang residence from the Zhuang estate. Lin Shenju said he wanted to marry me, so I went to the matchmaker temple and asked for 2 red strings. I tied one around my wrist and the other around Lin Shenshu's wrist, waiting for the Marquis of Weining's estate to come propose. The first time I heard about my cousin Jiang Yuan Shuang being close to Lin Shenju was a month ago. It said that after she and her uncle and aunt moved out of the Jiang residence, she approached Lin Shenju, accusing him of meddling in Jiang family affairs. When I was boating on the lake with Lin Shenju, I asked him about Jiang Yuanshuang. He looked utterly disgusted. "For the past years, she has lived your life. Now, she's just returning what belongs to you. What does she have to feel wronged about?" Seeing her pampered, meticulously cultivated elegance and nobility makes me sick. Such a woman, on the surface, seems fine, but beneath the skin, she's rotten to the core. I felt a bit more at ease and took out some water chestnut cakes I had made myself to give to Lin Shenju. about half a month later, I heard that Lin Shenju braved the heavy rain, carrying a woman in his arms, and ran to knock on the door of a clinic. I went to ask Lin Shenju again. Lin Shenju said impatiently, "It's Jiang Yuanshuang," he said. "Her parents are truly beasts. After moving out of the Jiang residence, they didn't strive to improve themselves but instead poured all their money into the gambling house." Jiang Yuanshuang, who had been pampered for over a decade to support her younger brother, ended up going to wash clothes for others to earn money. She fainted from exhaustion and happened to be found by me. Hearing him say this, I felt a tightening in my heart. Lin Shenju, seeing my silence, came to his senses and comforted me, saying, "I'm not sympathizing with Jiang Yuanshuang. I was reminded of you from a few years ago. Besides, I saw her faint with my own eyes, so I couldn't just sit by and do nothing. After all, it's a matter of life. Yuan Luo, rest assured, no one can surpass your place in my heart." I smiled and nodded, not bringing up the matter in front of him again. But privately, I arranged for someone to investigate Jiang Yuanshuang's recent situation. Not looking into it, I wouldn't have known. But this investigation revealed that Lin Shenju had done far more than just save Jiang Yuanshuang this one time. The Zhu Leioi, whom my uncle and aunt had offended, came to humiliate them when they fell on hard times, and it was Lin Shenju who stepped in to settle the matter with Zhu Leioi. Uncle lost Jiang Yuanshuang at the gambling table and gave her to someone as a second wife. Lin Shenju paid to buy back the contract. Auntie arranged a marriage for Jiang Yuanshuang with a wealthy family, but the man was fat and unattractive. Lin Shenju helped Jiang Yuanshuang reject this marriage. Lin Shenju initially hated Jiang Yuanshuang immensely, but after she jumped into a lake in front of him, he was completely controlled by her, continuously cleaning up her messes. I know this can't continue. The more one gives, the more likely one is to develop feelings. So, I arranged to meet Lin Shenju again. I didn't tell him what I had discovered. Instead, I said to him, after thinking it over, I realized that no matter what, my uncle and aunt are still my blood relatives. My uncle and aunt may not be capable, but Yuan Shuang is a good person. I intend to transfer 2 of my shops to Yuan Shuang's name, so she can manage them and relieve some of her burdens. I thought that if Jiang Yuan Shuang's life improved, Lin Shenju would have no reason to continue helping her. Lin Shenju was very pleased when he heard this. He said, "Yuan Luo, you are truly kind. I didn't misjudge you. Although I felt a bit bitter in my heart, I was at least somewhat reassured." However, that afternoon, Jiang Yuanshuang came to see me. She cried in front of me, confessing that she had fallen in love with Lin Shenju. She didn't ask to be his wife, only that I allow her to be his concubine, she said. "It was the young master Lin who fished me out of the water. He has touched my body. If I leave him, who else could I possibly marry in this lifetime?" After saying this, she knelt down with a thud in front of me. Lin Shenju, who was hurrying over from not far away, just happened to witness this scene. His expression changed several times, but in the end, he said nothing, just stared at me intently. I, too, remained silent. Jiang Yuanshuang was banging her head against the flagstones, each thud sounding painful, and the flagstones were stained with red blood. "Sister Yuan Luo, please, I beg you, my father and mother have returned everything to you. You have everything now, and I have nothing. Just give me a way out. I won't compete with you for anything," she pleaded while kowtowing. I looked at her coldly, my tone harsh as I said, "No, I don't agree." Lin Shenju frowned. Then, Jiang Yuanshuang fainted. Lin Shenju rushed forward in panic, picking up Jiang Yuanshuang. He looked at me, disappointed, and said, "Yuan Luo, how can you be so unkind? The suffering you endured back then wasn't Yuanshuang's fault. What's the point of taking it out on her? She even said she wouldn't compete with you. So why are you so unyielding?" My heart ached, and I sneered. "She says she won't compete with me. What does she have to compete with me for? I am the only daughter of General Jiang Shuren and the noble lady Cheng Su. Marrying you as the son-in-law of the Wei Ning Marquisate, though it is an upward marriage, is not a disgrace to the Marquisate, especially with the family assets of both the Jiang and Lin families as dowry. What does Jiang Yuanshuang have? The daughter of a rogue and a scoundrel, wanting to be the son-in-law's wife. Who do you think would agree to that?" Lin Shenju said coldly. I never expected you to be such a worldly woman. He carried Jiang Yuanshuang away that night. He came to apologize to me. He said, Yuan Luo, can you stop dwelling on the past? You have everything now, and you should let go of the past. I hope you can be happy from now on. You are really important to me. My maid Yinga advised me that the more stubborn I was, the more I would push people towards Jiang Yuanshuang. I have known Lin Shenju for so many years. Over the years, we grew up together, supporting each other, and we once understood each other the best. He has always been good to me. Losing him over this would be a bit of a pity, so I softened my attitude and told Lin Shenju, I will not share a husband with Jiang Yuanshuang. She is young and beautiful and should not be someone's concubine. How about this? I'll transfer a few shops to her name, and then you look for any poor scholars preparing for the imperial exams. If there's someone with good character and looks, ask if they are interested in Jiang Yuanshuang. She can marry as a proper wife, and if the scholar passes the exams and becomes a jinsha, she can be a respectable jinsha's wife. You're not mad at me anymore. Lin Shenju was delighted. I said, you were so biased towards her today. How could any woman not be jealous and angry? If you're willing, we'll do it this way. If you're not, we'll annul the engagement. Lin Shenju immediately expressed, of course, I'm willing, no matter how much Jiang Yuanshuang matters. She can't compare to your place in my heart. I'll go looking tomorrow to see if there's any promising scholar who's still unmarried and looking for a good wife. Hearing him say this, I felt a bit more at ease in my heart. I thought that this matter would pass like this. However, the next day, I heard the news that the Empress Dowager had recognized Jiang Yuanshuang as her adopted daughter and arranged a marriage between Lin Shenju and Jiang Yuanshuang. The Empress Dowager is Lin Shenju's biological aunt, and she has always doted on him, feeling pity for him as a motherless child, and she has almost always granted his wishes. Therefore, this adoption and betrothal were both granted at Lin Shenju's request. Last night, he was still apologizing to me, promising to find a good match to marry Jiang Yuanshuang away. Last night, he even said that Jiang Yuanshuang couldn't compare to my place in his heart. How could he change overnight? I don't believe it, so I waited at the entrance of the Marquis of Weining's residence, wanting to ask him myself, Lin Shenju, I wanted to ask you, do you really not love me anymore? Lin Shenju said coldly, yes, I was young and naive before, so I thought I liked someone like you, but now I've thought it through. Jiang Yuanshuang is far superior to you. In what way is she better than me? My fingers trembled. Lin Shenju replied, she is more well-read and polite than you. She is kinder than you, and she is more naive than you. I lowered my head in embarrassment, stumbled, and turned to leave. Enough. The humiliation I've endured today is more than enough. I didn't return to Jiang's residence, aimlessly running, stumbling out of the city. The maid Yinga, young and frightened, was at a loss, following closely behind me. The grass and trees outside the city were dense, and I hadn't gone far before my skirt hem and socks were soaked with dew from the wild grass. The round sun rose in the east, and the surroundings gradually warmed up, but I felt extremely cold. I didn't know where to go. My heart felt empty, with only one thought, to leave, to get far away from Jiang Yuanshuang and Lin Shenju. Move aside, move aside. Shouts and the sound of hooves came from ahead. I stood frozen in place, looking up in confusion. Yinga, however, was terrified by the galloping horses and clung to my waist, desperately pushing us to the side. A long whip lashed out, wrapping around us and flinging us into the nearby grass. Moments later, several horses galloped past. In no time, they returned. It was a tall man dressed in a vermilion crane-embroidered cape, accompanied by several bodyguards. The bodyguards shouted at us, "Don't you value your lives? Didn't we tell you to get out of the way, if you're looking to die? Don't drag our master into it." Yinga cried and apologized. "I'm sorry, it's my fault. I humbly apologize to all the noble lords. I came to my senses. It was my fault for being distracted and not moving out of the way in time, and I shouldn't have let Yinga suffer this injustice. Therefore, I pulled Yinga behind me and bowed deeply to apologize." The guard was about to scold a few more words, but the tall man waved his hand to stop him. He asked me, "Which family's young lady are you?" So early in the morning, with only one maid accompanying you. Where are you going? This person is truly rude, speaking in a tone that is condescending, as if interrogating a criminal, yet his garments are embroidered with gold and silver threads, and the crown he wears in his hair is adorned with top-grade dong pearls. His features exude authority, clearly indicating a background of wealth and nobility. It's best not to offend someone like him. Thus, I lowered my eyes and replied to him. I am Jiang Yuanluo, the legitimate daughter of the former General Jiang Xian. I am taking my maid out of the city to relax, and after doing so, I will return to the city. Are you Jiang Yuanluo? The man furrowed his brows, glancing at me with a scrutinizing gaze. You're the one who drove your own uncle, aunt, and cousins out of the Jiang family. His tone was harsh, and it instantly ignited a fire in my heart. I abruptly looked up at him, sneering. This gentleman. I wonder if your teacher ever taught you the principle of not judging without knowing the full picture. Yinga's face turned red with anger, and she raised her voice defiantly. Second master was a gambler. When our master was still alive, he had already cut off all ties with him. When master and madam passed away, our young lady was only 5 years old. Second master's family took the opportunity to seize the Jiang residence and drove our young lady to live in a village for 10 years. Such a greedy and ruthless family. If you feel sorry for them, then take them back to your own home to care for. How dare you? The person in front of you is. The guard shouted sternly again. The man in the crane feather cloak waved his hand to stop them once more. He asked me in surprise. You're the one who has lived in the manor for 10 years. Who else could it be? I retorted. A trace of regret immediately flashed across his face. Then, in the incredulous gazes of several guards, he dismounted and bowed to me, apologizing seriously. I'm sorry, it was my ignorance that caused offense. He turned to the guards and said, You go back first. Tell the old lady that the item she asked me to deliver has been delivered. I'll visit her later. The guards acknowledged and left. He looked at me again, his expression earnest. Miss Jiang, if you wish to relax, there's a peach grove ahead. I would be honored to lead the way and accompany you for a stroll. The drastic change in his attitude was so obvious that if I didn't notice anything, I'd be a fool. I asked, You're a friend of young Master Lin, aren't you? He paused for a moment, then gave a wry smile. Was it that obvious? I shook my head and said, As an orphan, my parents passed away years ago, and there are hardly any families in the capital that still associate with the Jiang family. You know about the Jiang family and mentioned the 10 years spent in the manor, which could only have come from the Lin prince. Young master, did the Lin prince say something bad about our young lady in front of you? Yinga couldn't help but ask. Not at all. He spoke highly of Miss Jiang. It was my misunderstanding. I thought he was referring to Miss Jiang Yuan Shuang. The man in the crane feather cloak explained. I suddenly understood. Lin Shenshu's friends have never met me, but they have heard about me from him, over the past month. Jiang Yuan Shuang has been constantly by Lin Shenshu's side, and his friends must have seen her. Now that Lin Shenju has asked the Empress to arrange a marriage between them, his friends assume that the person Lin Shenju often mentioned is Jiang Yuan Shuang, and naturally, they believe that Jiang Yuan Shuang's family has been bullied by me for the past 10 years. The initial accusations upon meeting were merely out of a sense of justice for their friend's beloved. It's fine. As long as the misunderstanding is cleared up, you can go back now. I want to be alone to clear my mind, I said with a bitter smile. Are you sure you don't need me to stay? The man in the feathered cape, seeing my firm expression, could only say with a look of regret, All right then. The path to the left leads forward for about a mile to the peach grove. Make sure you and your servant don't get lost. I don't want to see the peach grove, I said irritably. I was already in a bad mood when I ran out of the city, only to encounter such a talkative and troublesome stranger. After talking to him for so long, my mood only worsened. The man in the crane feather cloak noticed my impatience and explained, I just noticed Miss Jiang seemed tired and probably hungry and thirsty. This is the season when peaches are at their best. Perhaps a visit to the peach grove could lift your spirits, improve your appetite, and provide you with some ripe peaches to satisfy your hunger. I apologize for disturbing you, miss. After saying this, he turned and led his horse away. It's me who failed to appreciate good intentions. I gathered my emotions and walked forward in confusion, but Yinga pushed me with her hand, directing me towards the left path. After walking about a li, there indeed was a peach grove. Yinga picked 4 or 5, choosing the largest and reddest ones with the best appearance. Next to the peach grove was a pond, and she carefully washed them clean before bringing them to me to eat. I couldn't eat a thing, but the moment I saw the peach, the congestion in my heart suddenly eased, and a flood of grievances welled up in my eyes. I held Yinga and cried loudly. I didn't know what I had done wrong. Why in just a month, I had lost Lin Shenju. He had once stood with me to condemn my second uncle's family for their malice and to denounce Jiang Yuan Shuang for usurping my life. But now, he was braving countless difficulties to seek a betrothal for Jiang Yuan Shuang, as if I were the one in the wrong, but I clearly hadn't done anything wrong. I have no parents, no friends, and no one tells me what I should do. In the storybooks, the heroine at least gets to beat up the unfaithful man to vent her anger. But all I can do is cry into Yinga's arms. Yinga is young, and when she sees me crying, she cries too. It's her misfortune to follow such a cowardly master. After crying, my eyes and face were a bit swollen, but my heart no longer felt as empty as when I first left the city. I looked down at the peach that had rolled onto the ground. Yinga understood and picked up the peach, then washed it again in the pond. Then we both crouched by the pond, each holding a big peach and taking big bites. I'm hungry from crying. After finishing the peach, I placed some coins under the peach tree and said to Yinga, "Let's go." On the way back, I saw the figure of the man in the crane-feathered cloak again. Did he just follow us the whole time? If he keeps following us, won't he see me crying my eyes out? That would be too embarrassing, Yinga said. He's probably worried about the young lady. The way you looked so lost on the road just now, it scared me. What are you afraid of? I asked. Yinga lowered her head and didn't speak. I don't need her to say it, I already know. She's afraid I'll try to kill myself. Don't worry, I survived those tough times before, and I won't die over a man now, I said. I'm glad you understand, miss. Yinga sighed in relief. Let's hurry home. You've been standing all night. You must be exhausted. Go home, take a hot bath, and get some rest. No, we'll go to the broker first, I said. What are we going to the broker for? Yinga asked, puzzled. I sighed. You've seen how Lin Shenju treats me. When he helped me reclaim my family's property, I didn't have the manpower to take over, so many of the shop managers were arranged by him. Now that he's turned against me, it's not impossible for him to take action against the shops to please Jiang Yuanshuang. I need to take over the shops before they think of this. Those were my Jiang family's shops, and I should take them into my own hands. Yinga suddenly realized, "You're so thorough, miss." I didn't think of that. After returning to the city, we first went to the broker's office to buy a batch of servants and maids, sending them to the Jiang residence, and then to the Four Directions Guild, leaving information about the Jiang family's need to hire managers and shopkeepers. By the time we finished, it was already past noon. The peaches we had for breakfast were long digested. I stepped into the nearby tavern, ordered a private room, and then said to Yinga, "Go tell him that for this morning, he's worked hard, and I'll treat him to a midday meal." Yinga agreed and hurried off. Since we returned from the peach blossom grove to the city, the man in the crane-feathered cloak has been leading his horse and following behind us. He doesn't seem like a rogue, nor does he appear to harbor ill intentions. It's likely that he's worried something might happen to me, which is why he hasn't left. Even a stranger I met by chance worries about my safety. Yet Lin Shenju, after I waited for him all night, had the audacity to say that if I begged him, he would let me enter his household as a concubine. He is no longer the Lin Shenju I once loved. The world is vast, and from now on, we are two completely unrelated individuals. Just as I was thinking this, Yinga led the man in the crane-embroidered cloak into the room. He sat down across from me, his face beaming with joy, and said, "I saw you at the Tooth House and the Four Directions Hall. You did very well, truly worthy of being the daughter of General Jiang. You know my father?" I asked, somewhat surprised. "My name is He Shi," he said. 10 years ago, General Jiang almost took me as his student. Unfortunately, he didn't finish his sentence. I already knew his identity. I bent my right index and middle fingers and tapped on the table, saying, "Mister, He sure. Today Yinga and I spoke out of turn and offended you. Please forgive us. He was momentarily stunned, then sighed. Miss Jiang is indeed very clever. Just as the waiter arrived with the dishes, we let the matter drop and focused on eating. A few years ago, Lin Shenshu's hard-earned crane wooden carving was deliberately lost by his stepmother. He confided in me that the crane wooden carving was a birthday gift he had prepared for the current crown prince, whose courtesy name included the character for crane. He sure is likely the crown prince. After finishing lunch, I settled the bill and said my goodbyes to He sure. He sure, however, stopped me. He frowned slightly, as if troubled by many things. I had Yinga wait at the door first. After Yinga went to the door, hushed aside and spoke to me. He said, "I'm sorry, I was taken aback." He continued, "Now that you know my identity, I won't hide it from you. The betrothal between Lin Shenju and Jiang Yuan Shuang was arranged by me. At the request of my mother, I was greatly puzzled. This crown prince He sure, with his sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, appeared tall, upright, and righteous. Why would he also engage in such matchmaking affairs? What exactly is going on?" I sat back down at the table and asked him. "There must be a reason behind this." "There is indeed a reason," the crown prince said after taking a sip of tea and organizing his thoughts. "Lin Shenju mentioned to me several years ago that he had met a wonderful girl at the manor. Her name is Jiang, and she is gentle yet resilient. He told me how difficult her life was at the manor, how she managed to win over the servants who were supposed to watch her, and how they secretly went to the city to rent books for her. He also told me how she helped him improve his relationship with his father. I came to believe that Miss Jiang is truly a remarkable girl. About half a month ago, I saw Lin Shenju carrying Jiang Yuan Shuang to the clinic. I thought Jiang Yuan Shuang was the Jiang girl he had mentioned. Yesterday, Lin Shenju received a letter from Jiang Yuan Shuang. After reading it, he rushed out like a madman. I found out that Jiang Yuan Shuang felt her status was too low to match Lin Shenju and decided to leave the capital. Thinking of all the hardships she had endured, I couldn't bear it. So I went to ask my mother to adopt Jiang Yuan Shuang as her goddaughter and arrange a marriage between her and Lin Shenju. I didn't expect to create such a big misunderstanding. So that's how it is. I let out a bitter laugh and said, "It's not your fault. If Lin Shenju truly had intentions, he would have explained the misunderstanding to you. His heart, without a doubt, belongs to Jiang Yuanshuang. You're really wonderful. It's Lin Shenju who doesn't recognize a treasure when he sees one. He'll regret it in the future," the crown prince said. "If there's ever a day like that, I'll treat you to a meal," I said, after hearing the crown prince's words. I was naturally displeased. If it weren't for his interference, perhaps Lin Shenju and I wouldn't have reached the point of a complete break so quickly. But then again, what right do I have to blame him? After all, he is a crown prince, and he followed me around, protecting me for most of the day. To blame, one can only blame Lin Shenju for being unfaithful and heartless, and only myself for trusting the wrong person. After leaving the restaurant, I immediately returned to Jiang's residence. Bathed, changed clothes, and had a good sleep. This sleep, upon waking, was already the evening of the next day. The kitchen had kept chicken soup and rice warm. And as soon as Yinga saw me awake, she had it brought to me to eat. A bowl of hot chicken soup rice warmed my body and soul, and my spirit seemed to return. Yinga said, "The Sifang Guild has sent word that they've found the people we need. They've worked at banks and grain shops before, reliable and steady. I've arranged for them to come to the mansion for an interview tomorrow. As for the maids and servants you bought, I've handed them over to Aunt Wang to teach them rules. And we'll arrange their placements once you're rested." In just one night, she had grown up, as if transformed, capable of taking on responsibilities. I nodded and said, "First, bring them here so I can ask a few questions. Tomorrow, when the Sifang Guild sends people for the interviews for managers and shopkeepers, have them stand by as well." "Yes," Yinga responded and went to call them. "The brokerage I found has an excellent reputation." The group of people I purchased were household servants of an official who was being transferred out of the capital. Unable to take so many with him, he put them up for resale at the brokerage. Their character and conduct are beyond reproach, and I was fortunate to get them at a good price. After asking them a few questions, I was satisfied and assigned them to their respective shops, setting their monthly wages. The next day, representatives from the Four Directions Guild came for interviews. Once agreements were reached, I took them directly to each shop, swiftly ensuring they completed the handover with Lin Shenshu's people. For 3 consecutive days, I managed to handle the handover of all the shops. As I left the last shop, I overheard them whispering about me. This new owner is clearly a young lady, yet she acts faster than a man. It said she wasn't raised as a pampered noblewoman but grew up in a village. No wonder she can handle things so decisively. Hearing this, I didn't get angry. As long as they respect my decisiveness and work diligently for me, nothing else matters. Yinga, I heard there are new acrobats at the theater. Let's go see them before heading back, I said. After so many days of hard work, it's time to relax and unwind. That's a great idea, miss. Why don't we have lunch over at the market? The sweet and oily cakes are best when eaten hot, Yinga said happily. Unfortunately, our good mood came to a halt in front of the stall selling sweet and oily cakes at the market. Lin Shenju brought Jiang Yuan Shuang to buy sweet and oily cakes. When I saw them, they saw me too. Jiang Yuan Shuang raised an eyebrow, glancing at me sideways with sarcasm. Oh, isn't this Sister Yuan Luo, chasing us all the way here? Are you hoping to win back the young master's heart? You're truly delusional. The young master has said it. Even if you were to become a concubine, he wouldn't let you cross the threshold. I ignored her and turned to leave, but she threw a hot sugar pastry at me, her teeth clenched as she spat. You vile woman, you deserve to be abandoned by men. You'll never measure up to me in this lifetime. Even a clay figurine has its limits. I turned to glare at her and said, I now hold the Jiang family's estate in my hands. Even if I don't marry, I can live a life of luxury. What do you have? Parents who gamble, burdensome younger brothers and sisters, and the promise of a heartless man. Where exactly do you think you've won? Jiang Yuanshuang was choked by my words and turned to Lin Shenju, pouting. Young master, look at Sister Yuan Luo tilde. Lin Shenju looked at me and said, Yuan Luo, Yuanshuang and I are already engaged. Chasing after us here is just pointless. Why did you say I followed you here? Besides, I clearly didn't approach her. It was Jiang Yuanshuang who started being sarcastic with me first. How come Lin Shenju, after falling for Jiang Yuanshuang, has become so unreasonable and incapable of distinguishing right from wrong? I took a deep breath, ready to argue with him, but a hearty laugh came from behind me. Shenju, you're mistaken here. Miss Jiang didn't follow you here. It was I who invited her to watch the acrobatics. I turned my head and saw Crown Prince Husher. Today, he was dressed in a purple casual robe, exuding an aura of nobility. Miss Jiang, sorry to keep you waiting, he said, walking towards me with a smile. Would you like some sugar oil cakes? I was just thinking about eating, but now I don't feel like it anymore, I said. He replied, the Eastern Palace has recently acquired a chef from Jiangnan who makes exceptional pastries. I'll have some sent over to the Jiang residence for you to try, see if there's anything you like. He seemed to be standing up for me, and I appreciated the gesture, so I nodded and said, that sounds great, thank you. Lin Shenshu's face turned black in an instant. He grabbed my wrist and strode outside, disregarding Jiang Yuanshuang and the Crown Prince being present. What are you doing? My wrist hurt a bit. I couldn't understand why he was so concerned about my interactions with the Crown Prince, especially since he had already chosen Jiang Yuanshuang. He finally stopped at the entrance of the brothel, glaring at me with clenched teeth. When did you get to know him? Do you even know who he is, that you dare to associate with him? I know, he's the Crown Prince of the Great Yang Dynasty, I said. Lin Shenju became even angrier, his breathing grew heavier, and he stepped closer to me, bringing a lot of pressure. What do you mean by that? Can't be the Marchioness, so you're dreaming of becoming the Crown Princess? Young Master Lin, this has nothing to do with you. You're already engaged to Jiang Yuan Shuang, and we are strangers who have nothing to do with each other. After I finished speaking, I shook off his hand and looked behind him. The Crown Prince caught up, and behind him trailed Jiang Yuanshuang, whose face was ashen. Lin Shenshu's face darkened as he sneered, Jiang Yuan Luo, go buy a mirror and take a good look at yourself. Forget about how you were raised in the countryside since childhood. Even if a normal man knew about our dealings over the years, he would be concerned, let alone the crown prince. What right do you have to be the crown princess? When did my affairs become the business of my cousin Shinju to decide? The crown prince glanced at Lin Shinju, his eyes carrying a hint of disdain. Mind your own matters. Since you've chosen Miss Jiang II, stay away from Miss Jiang I. I don't think she wants to see you either. After saying this, he looked at me and said, there are idle people in this courtyard today. Since Miss Jiang invited me to dine last time, it's only right that I invite Miss Jiang today. There's an authentic Kaifeng cuisine restaurant on Fangqian Street. Would Miss Jiang do me the honor of joining me? Alright, I agreed. Pulling Yinga and getting into the carriage, Lin Shenshu's gaze was fixed firmly on my back, making me feel an uncomfortable burning sensation. But soon, Jiang Yuan Shuang started causing a scene with him, and he was too busy trying to calm her down to glare at me anymore. The sound of him frantically soothing Jiang Yuan Shuang came from behind. Sorry. After the carriage had moved away, Prince Husha suddenly spoke. Your Highness, why apologize? Today you helped me out of a difficult situation. I should be thanking you, I said. Husha said, what I mean is, that Kaifeng dishes isn't authentic at all. It's terrible. Let's not go there. I was taken aback upon hearing this, but quickly understood what he meant. He had just stood up for me, not because he cared, but because he couldn't stand Lin Shenshu's betrayal and the subsequent humiliation with his new lover. The words he spoke to Lin Shenju were merely a moment of emotional outburst, not sincere feelings. Lin Shenju was right about one thing today. He is the crown prince, and I am not qualified to be the crown princess. Saying that Kaifeng dishes is bad is just a polite way of expressing that you don't want to be too involved with me. Your Highness, I understand, I said softly, glancing at the intertwined floral patterns on the window frame. Please rest assured, Your Highness, although I was not well educated, I know my place. I harbor no delusions and will never covet what is not mine. Where is Your Highness going? I can have the coachman take you. The Jiang residence is just one street away from the next intersection. Yinga and I can walk back. You've misunderstood me, Prince Husha said. What I meant is that Kaifeng dishes is really terrible. There's a rustic eatery outside the city that offers a unique taste of the countryside. Would you like to join me and try it? I turned back, bewildered. Just as our eyes met, his gaze seemed to convey 1,000 words. What if I have a selfish desire in my heart? I asked in confusion. You are the crown prince. What kind of selfish desire could you possibly have? How can there be such a naive girl? He sighed and said, a man follows a woman around for half a day, protecting her safety, and then stands up for her in front of another man. Apart from the fact that this man harbors improper thoughts about her, what other reason could there be? Isn't it because of guilt? Isn't it because his kind, faced with his somewhat intense gaze? I didn't dare to voice these two thoughts. I didn't know how to respond to him. He is the crown prince, and our statuses are worlds apart. Moreover, I've just been heartbroken by Lin Shenju. He stared at me for a while, and when he didn't get an answer, he withdrew his gaze and looked forward. I breathed a sigh of relief. I thought he had given up, but I soon realized that wasn't the case. He sat there, composed and elegant, speaking in a clear, gentle voice about the origins of his delusions. I had 4 companions in study, and Lin Shenju was one of them. A few years ago, I didn't like his temperament, sensitive, easily angered, but then one day, he suddenly became amiable. During our leisure chats after class, I learned that he had met a Miss Jiang. After meeting Miss Jiang, his temperament became more steady. His relationship with my uncle, the Marquis of Whining, improved day by day, and he also became more diligent in his studies. At first, when he talked about Miss Jiang, I was just curious to listen. Later, I hoped he would mention her more often in casual conversations. In his descriptions, Miss Jiang was like a strong grass growing on a steep cliff. I thought, what a vibrant life force. If only I could meet Miss Jiang too. But such thoughts were inappropriate. I am the crown prince, the heir to the throne, and I should not covet my cousin's beloved. I buried those wild thoughts deep within me, thinking they would slowly rot and disappear. But who knew that Lin Shenju did not cherish her, giving the seed in my heart the chance to take root and grow? Miss Jiang, My intentions are impure. Will you drive me away? This, how could I dare? He is the crown prince and has helped me before, but I cannot agree to him either. I'm not as good as he says I am. I'm just an orphan trying to survive in this world. There are plenty of noble ladies vying for the position of crown princess. It's not something that would ever fall to me. Moreover, even if I agreed to his proposal, the empress would never allow him to marry a wife who couldn't offer him any support. I honestly shared my thoughts with him. He remained silent for a long time before finally saying, "The food at that eatery outside the city is truly delicious. Miss Jiang, you should go and try it." I didn't expect that the eatery the Crown Prince Husher mentioned was right next to the peach grove, or rather, both the peach grove and the eatery were originally Husher's properties. His wet nurse from childhood, after leaving the palace, faced hardship when her family lost their means of livelihood. She came to him for help, and he entrusted the peach grove and the eatery to her family to manage. The wet nurse's family greeted the Crown Prince warmly and treated me with great kindness as well. They quickly prepared a table of rustic, flavorful dishes. The taste was indeed excellent. After a silent meal, Husher escorted me back to the Jiang residence. Just as I was about to enter the gate, he suddenly called out to me and said, "Lin Shenju is a man with a selfish streak deep within him. Miss Jiang, you should be careful." "Okay," I nodded, "thank you." I watched him leave, and after he was gone, I turned to head back to the inner courtyard. But then I heard Yinga bowing behind me. "Young Master Lin." I turned around and saw Lin Shenju. His face was very grim, and he strode up to me, immediately asking, "Jiang Yuan Luo, are you getting back at me?" I was stunned. I just wanted to stay away from him and live my own life well. I never thought of seeking revenge. He continued, "Just after leaving me, you've attached yourself to another man with more power. Who do you think you're doing this for? Who do I owe this to? Do I need to owe this to anyone? I don't want to argue with an idiot." So I turn to leave. He grabs my waist with one arm and rests his chin on my shoulder, softening his tone as he says, "Yuan Luo, I admit defeat. Don't treat me like this, okay? Over the years, we've supported each other. I can't live without you." Hearing him mention all these years, my heart aches, and my hands hesitate as I push him away. Then I hear him say again, "Yuan Luo, can't we go back to how things were before? As long as you don't quarrel with Yuan Shuang, we can still get along like we used to." Smash! I pushed him away with all my strength and slapped him across the face. "Lin Shenju, you really disgust me," I shouted in anger, my voice trembling. "Get out of here. Get out of my sight." Lin Shenju looked at me with a deeply hurt expression. As if I had wronged him, I felt even more disgusted, and when I turned my head, I saw the door bolt standing against the wall. I rushed over, lifted the door bolt, and swung it at Lin Shenju. Lin Shenju hadn't expected me to actually strike, and he yelped in pain after taking a hit. Filled with rage, I didn't care whether he lived or died. I raised the door bolt and aimed it at his forehead. He reacted, sidestepped to avoid the blow, and then quickly retreated, leaving in a flustered manner. After Lin Shenju left, I leaned on the door bolt, catching my breath. Yinga worriedly said, "Miss, we know how ruthless young Master Lin can be. If he keeps causing trouble like this, what will you do in the future? Are you really going to become his concubine?" "No, even if I were to become a spinster, I would never become Lin Shenju's concubine." "Miss, what if we ask the Crown Prince for help?" Yinga hesitated before saying, "He is the Crown Prince, has feelings for you, and is also young Master Lin's cousin. Surely he has a way to make young Master Lin behave." I calmed down and carefully considered what Yinga had said. She's right. I still need to ask Husher for help with this matter. This world is unfair to women, depriving us of the right to achieve great deeds while shackling us with rules of female virtue. Since I can seek help from men, why should I make things difficult for myself and insist on fighting Lin Shenju to a point where both sides might lose, but not necessarily achieve my goal? I immediately returned to my room and wrote a formal invitation, sending it to the Crown Prince's residence. The next day, I went to the Peach Grove as agreed to meet with Prince Husher. As soon as I stepped out, I saw Lin Shenju leaning against the door pillar. "Miss, it seems the young Master Lin is determined to persist." Yinga whispered, "What bad luck." I turned and headed towards the back door. After exiting the back alley, there was a steamed bun shop specializing in fresh bamboo shoots. The owner's hawking voice and the aroma of the buns wafted over together. "Let's buy a few buns." My feet unconsciously moved in that direction. Who would have thought that just as I took 2 steps, I bumped into Jiang Yuanshuang. She stared at the owner wrapping her buns in brown paper with a disdainful look, while her maid flattered her. "Miss, if the young master knew you came to buy these buns for him personally, he would surely be very touched." I shook my head inwardly. Lin Shenju had always been a person who got whatever he wanted, having been spoiled by the servants in the mansion and his empress aunt since childhood. How could he be moved by just a few buns? But with her here, I lost my appetite for the buns. I gave Yinger a look and turned to leave. Jiang Yuanshuang, however, blocked my path and asked, "Where are you going?" "Where I go is none of your business," I said with a smile, looking at her. "Did you buy the entire city of Shengjing? Am I not allowed to leave?" "I bet you're going to the Marquis of Weining's residence to win back the young master," Jiang Yuanshuang retorted sharply. "You still have lingering feelings for the young master. How disgusting." I couldn't help but roll my eyes and said, "Sister Yuanshuang, if you're going to deliver buns, don't go to the Marquis of Weining's residence. You'd just be wasting a trip. Deliver them directly to the Jiang residence instead, so your young master can enjoy them while they're still warm." "What do you mean?" Jiang Yuanshuang's voice, sharp and shrill, interrogated me. "It's a kind reminder," I replied, turning and stepping into the carriage. As the carriage left the alley, Jiang Yuanshuang's angry voice echoed behind us. Heading towards the Jiang residence, Yinger seemed puzzled and asked me, "What is young Master Lin trying to achieve? Having chosen Miss Jiang, why does he still secretly pursue you? Could it be that he still has feelings for you?" I speculated. "He wants to have his cake and eat it too." Yinger remained silent for a long time before speaking. "He thinks too highly of himself." I shook my head. "It's not that he thinks highly of himself, he's certain he can control me. He was certain that as an orphan, I wouldn't dare ruin my reputation and bring shame to my deceased parents, which is why he treated me so recklessly." When the carriage arrived at the Peach Grove, Crown Prince Husher was already there. His wet nurse was busy at the stove in the food stall, wiping her eyes. The atmosphere seemed a bit off. I pondered what might have happened while mentally preparing my questions. However, before I could speak, Hesha addressed me as soon as I stepped down from the carriage. "Miss Jiang, I am going to Lingnan. Why would you go to such a place?" I was astonished, forgetting my prepared speech and frowning. "Lingnan is plagued with miasma, has many barbarian tribes, and the chieftains are all very fierce. There are bandits in the mountainous areas and pirates along the coast. Your Highness, the Crown Prince, with your noble status, why would you suddenly want to go to such a place?" "Miss Jiang, I won't hide it from you," he said, pulling me to sit down on a bench and speaking frankly. "After meeting you at the city gate that day, I went back and told my mother about you. She saw that I had feelings for you and told me that I could take you as a virtuous concubine." Why did this suddenly turn to me? I felt a bit uneasy and shifted to the side, avoiding his offer of tea. He placed the cup on the table and continued, "I asked my mother what would happen if I wanted to marry you. She said it would be very difficult. The officials of the court don't need a crown prince who marries a commoner as the heir to the throne. I am destined to marry a noblewoman from a prestigious family, unless I can achieve something remarkable and/or the officials. Throughout history, a weak ruler is controlled by the ministers, while a strong ruler can command them. So, I requested an audience with my father and asked for permission to go to Lingnan. 4 generations, the emperors of the Great Yang dynasty have been troubled by Lingnan. By personally solving the Lingnan issue, the officials no longer dared to criticize me. Did the crown prince go to Lingnan for me?" I looked at him in shock, followed by panic. "Your Highness, I cannot bear such responsibility. It's not your burden to bear." He shook his head and said, "If it were just for you, how could father and mother agree to let me go? Now that the noble families are growing stronger, the imperial power is being weakened. The Great Yang dynasty needs a decisive ruler who can centralize power and implement reforms, or the consequences will be unimaginable." Hearing him say this, the panic in my heart subsided slightly. "Miss Jiang, I will be leaving the capital in 2 days to head to Lingnan. I want to leave a squad of guards with you, partly to ensure your safety and partly to remind you of my intentions at all times." After saying this, he looked at me intently, waiting for my response. I remembered my purpose at this moment. A sense of worry crept into my heart. With the guards left by the Crown Prince, naturally no one dared to provoke me. But among these people, Lin Shenju was an exception. Firstly, Lin Shenju was the son of the Marquis of Weining, the Empress's own nephew. Without an order from the Crown Prince, the guards wouldn't dare to touch him. Secondly, Lin Shenju was a man of erratic behavior. Mere guards would only be played around by him, and it would be more useful to keep a few wolfhounds instead. There are few in the capital who can control Lin Shenju, and the only person I can turn to is the Crown Prince. But the Crown Prince is going to Lingnan. A bold idea suddenly came to my mind. "Your Highness, could you take me with you and leave me in Yongju? I can't find anyone in the capital to help me deal with Lin Shenju, so wouldn't it be better for me to leave the capital? Yongju is near Lingnan, but it's relatively peaceful, and its commerce is thriving. The timber from Yongju is excellent, and the Jiang family has several timber shops that source their goods from Yongju merchants, always in high demand. Going to Yongju, first, I can avoid Lin Shenju. Second, I have the protection of the Crown Prince, so no one would dare to bully me as an orphan. And third, I can engage in the timber business and not be idle." The more I think about it, the more I feel this is an excellent idea. The Crown Prince hesitated slightly. "You've grown up in the capital all your life. Going to a strange place like that, would it? It won't be bad," I interrupted him, reminding him, "I grew up in the countryside. The capital is just as unfamiliar to me." I told him about what had happened at the Jiang residence after he left yesterday. When Lin Shenju came by, he immediately said, "Then come with me to Yongju. I'll work hard and try to pacify Lingnan as soon as possible, then bring you back to the capital." Back at the Jiang residence, Lin Shenju's figure was already gone from the main gate. I had the shop managers, stewards, and estate managers summoned and informed them of my plan to go to Yongju to engage in timber business. For the matters of the shop and estate during this period, the stewards were to proceed according to established practices, and the Crown Prince had also arranged a skilled household manager to assist me. After settling these matters, I began overseeing the servants in packing our luggage. Ordinary supplies need not be brought in excess. Traveling with the Crown Prince's entourage means there's no need to worry about encountering bandits along the way. You can bring as many valuables as you like. Yinga will accompany me to Yongju, while Madame Wang stays behind to guard the Jiang residence. From the decision to go to Yongju to the actual departure, only 2 days were allotted. Accomplishing so much in such a short time is indeed quite rushed. Fortunately, Lin Shenju seems to be tightly watched by Jiang Yuan Shuang, as he hasn't come to bother us over these 2 days. On the morning of the day we were set to leave, the gatekeeper handed me a letter. The letter was from Lin Shenju. He said he was waiting for me at Kaiyuan Temple and had something very important to tell me. "Burn the letter. If he comes again, tell him truthfully that I've gone to Yongju." I told the gatekeeper, "Yes, miss, I wish you a safe journey," he replied. The gatekeeper accepted the letter, stepped aside, and I, accompanied by my servants and luggage, left the Jiang residence. Then, we departed the capital together with the Crown Prince's army. The journey took over a month before we finally arrived in Yongju. The customs and culture of Yongju were vastly different from those of the capital. The Crown Prince stayed in Yongju for 3 days, ensuring everything was settled for me before he and his 50,000 strong army resumed their march to the Lingnan region. I went to Gaoshan Temple in Yongju to obtain a talisman for safety, which I sewed overnight onto the back of a palm-sized copper mirror. When Prince Husha set out, I gave it to him. This is a local custom in Yongju, where giving a copper mirror before departure symbolizes the wish for a safe return. "Miss Jiang, stay in Yongju and continue your timber business. I hear the fruits in Lingnan are very sweet. Once I've pacified Lingnan, I'll treat Miss Jiang to the best fruits." The prince, clad in armor, stroked the copper mirror, sitting tall on his horse, full of vigor and enthusiasm as he spoke to me. I couldn't help but laugh and shouted back aloud, "All right, In the midst of swirling dust, he left Yongju and headed south to Lingnan. After the crown prince left, I threw myself wholeheartedly into the timber business. Yongju is abundant with high-quality timber, yet it is also very inexpensive. For example, the black sandalwood that is highly prized in the capital is only used for screens by a few wealthy families there, but in Yongju, even ordinary households use black sandalwood for their rocking chairs to cool off in the summer. I didn't have to worry about the supply at all. I just needed to negotiate the transport with various escort services, and this business was guaranteed to be profitable. I've been in Yongju, working hard for 3 months, and the timber business is finally starting to run smoothly. I can finally take a break. When people are idle, they tend to overthink, but I rarely dwell on people and events in the capital. Instead, my thoughts often turn to Husha in Lingnan. I worry about his adjustment to the humid and hot climate of Lingnan, and I'm concerned about him being harmed by bandits. After 2 months of worry, December arrived. Every household was adorned with lanterns and decorations, preparing for the family reunion on New Year's Eve, and finally, I received a letter from the Crown Prince. In the letter, he told me that he had become sworn brothers with the son of the chieftain of the largest tribe, and had convinced the various tribes to temporarily unite and fight the mountain bandits and river pirates together with him. He wrote lightly in his letter. But I knew that he must have had a very difficult time these past few months. If the Lingnan region were so easily pacified, it wouldn't have become a chronic problem for several generations of emperors in the Da Yang dynasty. But since he was unharmed, I felt relieved. I handed over the prepared food and letter to the messenger, instructing him to take them back to the Crown Prince. After that, we exchanged letters every 4 months. In the 3rd letter, the Crown Prince told me that he had wiped out the last band of mountain bandits. The leaders of several tribes were becoming increasingly friendly towards him, agreeing to his proposal to send their descendants to the capital for education, and then have those descendants appointed as officials by the court to govern Lingnan. In the 5th letter, the Crown Prince told me that the most troublesome group of pirates had been driven onto an island without fresh water. They were about to launch a decisive battle at Moon Bay. After this battle, Lingnan would be completely at peace. Yuan Luo, can you give me your answer after I finish this battle? He asked in the letter. I replied to him, all right. Leaving the capital and arriving in Yongju, nearly 2 years have passed. In these 2 years, my state of mind has undergone significant changes. I have seen through his heart, and I have also understood my own heart. Moreover, I am now the largest timber merchant in the Great Yang dynasty. This identity gives me the confidence to make some life-changing attempts. After sending my reply, I began to run to the Yongju city gate every day. A month passed, and the Crown Prince did not come. 2 months passed, and the Crown Prince did not come. 3 months passed, and the Crown Prince did not come. 4 months passed, and the Crown Prince's letter did not come. I began to panic, worried that something had happened to him. So I asked a merchant traveling to Lingnan to help me inquire. Just 4 days after the merchant left Yongju, Prince Husha and his army appeared outside the city. The prince was not wearing his armor, nor was he riding his tall war horse. The curtain of the carriage at the front of the procession was drawn back, and I saw the prince inside, his face pale as a ghost. Tears streamed down my face. He smiled at me and said, Yuan Luo, I don't have the strength to pull you up. Could you climb up yourself? Of course, I replied, and with Yinga's help, I flipped onto the Crown Prince's carriage. He reached out to wipe my tears and said, it's been 2 years, and you're still so quick to cry. Where are you injured? How did it happen? Why didn't you recover in Lingnan before coming back? I asked him in a rush. He held my hand and answered me earnestly. I was injured in the chest. During the battle at Moon Bay, the bandit leader abandoned his men and fled. I chased after him and accidentally took an arrow from him. The injury is quite severe. If I had stayed in Lingnan to recover, I was afraid you would worry how much pain he must be in. While feeling sad for him, I told him, as long as you're alive and back, we'll take our time to heal your wounds here in Yongju before returning to the capital. Yuan Luo, I almost died. The Crown Prince stared at me, speaking softly. That arrow was aimed straight at my heart. The bronze mirror you gave me deflected it. causing the arrowhead to veer off by an inch. It was a close call. Had it struck true, it would have pierced my heart or lungs, leaving no chance of recovery. Yuan Luo, you saved my life. Was it really that perilous? I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. I regretted saying, if I had known, I would have asked for 2 protective talismans for you. The local custom in Yongju is that friends give 1 bronze mirror, while family members or lovers give 2. If I had given him 2 bronze mirrors back then, would he have been less injured and suffered less? Yuan Luo, he said, delighted by my words, are you saying this because you're willing to marry me? Yes, I nodded. The Crown Prince's army was encamped outside Yongju city, and the Crown Prince himself stayed in Yongju to recover from his injuries. It was only when I saw his wounds that I realized how perilous that arrow had been. But he was in high spirits, and every day he had endless conversations with me. Whenever I managed to squeeze in time to review the accounts, he would sit beside me. It was then that I understood how clingy the valiant Crown Prince, praised by the soldiers and civilians, could be. A month later, news came from the capital. A change had occurred. The sovereign was critically ill. The Crown Prince's injuries were not fully healed, but he could no longer stay in Liuju. He had to hastily lead his army back to the capital. There was nothing else I could do, so I made it a point to prepare more nourishing dishes to replenish his blood and energy every day. On New Year's Eve, we hurried back to the capital. The Crown Prince arranged for someone to send me back to the Jiang residence while he went to the palace to meet the emperor. It had been over 2 years since I last returned, and the capital had changed significantly. As soon as I arrived at the Jiang household and sat down, Aunt Zhong couldn't wait to come and see me. Young master, no, he's the Marquis now. He's been coming to the Jiang residence every day for the past year, asking about the young lady's whereabouts. Aunt Zhong told me, young lady, is there really no chance between you and the Marquis anymore? What about Jiang Yuanshuang? I asked. Aunt Zhong shook her head and said, she's living in the Marquis's residence, but without any title or status. The Marquis hasn't truly married her. After you left the capital, about a year later, second master and second mistress were thrown into the prison, said to be involved in a rebellion. I nodded to show I understood, then told her, Aunt Zhong, if Lin Shenju comes again, don't let him in. I've decided to marry the Crown Prince. Zhong Ma was both surprised and delighted. Yes, 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 don't worry, young lady, I will definitely not let him in. After tidying up a bit, I went to sleep in my old bedroom from 2 years ago. Today is New Year's Eve, but due to the critical illness of the ruler, the entire capital city lacks the usual festive atmosphere of the new year. Occasionally, the sound of firecrackers can be heard. I didn't sleep well that night. Early the next morning, as soon as I woke up, I heard some commotion outside. What's going on? I called for Yinga to ask. It's Lord Lin, Yinga said unhappily. He heard that the young lady is back and is recklessly trying to barge in. The household servants can't stop him, and the guards left by the Crown Prince are now confronting Lord Lin. I spoke coldly, saying, the one who tied the knot must untie it. Wait until I'm done make-up, and I'll go meet him. He was the one who betrayed me, choosing Jiang Yuan Shuang over me. Now he's pretending to be so devoted. I washed my face, arranged my hair, and stepped out toward the outer courtyard. And there I saw Lin Shenju. He had changed a lot, appearing much sharper and more intense. I looked at him coldly and said, Lord Lin, the Jiang residence is under the Emperor's watchful eye, not in the backyard of your Wei Ning Marquisate. When he saw me, his expression lit up with joy, and he said excitedly, Yuan Luo, you've finally returned. I have something to tell you. There were reasons behind what happened back then. And then, I asked. Lin Shenju paused for a moment. I continued. Lord Lin, things and people change, and all things come to an end. You don't need me to teach you this, do you, Yuan Luo? What do you mean by that? His tone grew somewhat anxious. The imperial decree arrives. No sooner had he finished speaking than a proclamation suddenly echoed from outside the gate. I could no longer spare any attention for Lin Shenju. Hurriedly leading everyone to kneel and receive the decree, the imperial decree praised me for my graceful appearance and intelligent mind, my virtuous and refined character, and expressed gratitude for saving the Crown Prince's life, thereby granting me a marriage to the Crown Prince. in Lin Shenchu's terrified gaze. I accepted the imperial decree. The eunuch who delivered the decree smiled warmly and spoke to me. Congratulations to Miss Jiang, and many felicitations to Miss Jiang. The Crown Prince asked me to convey a message to you. His Majesty's condition has improved. Once he finishes reporting the affairs of Lingnan to His Majesty, he will leave the palace to see you. He is still recovering from his injuries. I would be grateful if you could take care of him and remind him to take his medicine, I said, slipping a few banknotes into the eunuch's hand. Ban Ban smiled even more brightly. Miss Jiang, please rest assured. We will definitely remind His Highness the Crown Prince. He then turned to Lin Shenju and said, Lord Marquis, you are here. His Majesty is looking for you. Lin Shenju had no choice but to follow the eunuch to the palace. His Majesty's condition had indeed improved, but his vitality and spirit were visibly much weaker than before. He seemed to feel that his end was near. So he decreed that the Crown Prince should oversee the state affairs and set the wedding of the Crown Prince and me for a month later. For an ordinary family, even a month for a wedding might be tight, let alone a grand wedding for the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince, the officials from the Ministry of Rights, and I were instantly overwhelmed with work. Lin Shenju visited the Jiang residence several times, but I didn't meet him. It wasn't until the day before my wedding to the Crown Prince that he and Lin Shenju came to my door together. Yuan Luo, the Crown Prince's expression showed his hesitation. I didn't speak, leading him into the flower hall. His wounds had just healed, and the spring chill was still biting. It wasn't right for him to stand outside in the wind. Then I went out and spoke with Lin Shenju by the corridor. Yuan Luo, have you thought it through? Are you really going to marry him? Lin Shenju asked me. Yes, I've thought it through long ago. I looked up at him, speaking seriously. Lord Lin, you should now address me as Miss Jiang. After tomorrow, you should call me the Crown Princess. Miss Jiang. Lin Shenju forced a bitter smile. I, Lin Shenju, have only ever had feelings for one woman. And that's you. Back then, I truly was forced into a corner. Today, I came to see him to make things clear and to let go, to no longer be entangled. Therefore, I asked him. Then tell me, what kind of forced into a corner led you to humiliate me so? Lin Shenju paused for a moment, then began to tell me the truth of the past. The couple of the second Master Jiang, in fact, were spies planted by the regent of Beijia in the Great Yang dynasty. They were both addicted to gambling. Yet during their years in charge of the Jiang family's assets, they never brought the Jiang family's wealth to the gambling houses, because the regent of Beijia was backing them. In the capital, they used the remaining influence of the late General Jiang to run errands and make connections for the regent of Beijia, colluding with more than a dozen court officials and merchants to commit treason against the state. I was stunned, recalling what Zhong Ma had said. A year after I left the capital, my second uncle and aunt were imprisoned for participating in a rebellion. It turned out it wasn't rebellion, but treason. Lin Shenju continued. Back then, I had already found some clues, but Jiang Yuan Shuang came to me and told me that she was the real daughter of General Jiang, and you, in fact, are the daughter of the second Master Jiang. The second Master Jiang, fearing that the treasonous affair would be exposed, secretly swapped you in your cradle with Jiang Yuan Shuang. Jiang Yuan Shuang threatened me, saying that treason is a capital offense. If I didn't marry her, she would expose this matter, sending you and the second Master Jiang's family to their deaths. There's no way I could be the child of my second uncle and aunt. I shook my head and said, when I was born, I had a dark blue birthmark near my eye, which didn't completely fade until I was about 3 years old. If they had swapped me with Jiang Yuan Shuang in our cradles back then, my parents would have definitely noticed. Yes, I later found out it was Jiang Yuan Shuang who deceived me. I hated her deeply and had her imprisoned to torture her, seeking revenge on your behalf. Lin Shenju hung his head in remorse and said, but by then, you had already left the capital and gone to Yongju. Moreover, I had to stay in the capital to handle the treason case, so I couldn't go to Yongju to look for you. You should have told me the truth earlier. My heart was also filled with bitterness. Back then, despite my strong facade, when I left the Wei Ning Marquis's estate, I truly felt all hope was lost. If I hadn't run into Heisha outside the city, I don't know what would have happened. I wanted to tell you, but when I invited you to Kaiyuan Temple, I waited for you day and night, only to hear that you had left the capital." Lin Shenshu's tone carried a hint of accusation. I was momentarily stunned. It turned out that there was still a chance for us to be together, yet we had missed it. "Lord Lin, it's too late," I said. "It's been less than half a month since my aunt arranged the marriage between me and Jiang Yuanshuang. How is it too late?" Lin Shenshu's eyes were bloodshot, his face full of disappointment, as he said, "Yuan Luo, I never expected that the feelings between us couldn't even last half a month. Lord Lin, you also think half a month is too short, don't you?" My voice turned cold, and all the regrets I had felt disappeared completely at that moment. "If you respected me, you should have told me the truth after I waited at the gate of the Wei Ning Marquis's residence all night. Instead of hurting me repeatedly with Jiang Yuanshuang, you were just certain that I was an orphan, someone you could easily manipulate, and you bet that I couldn't leave you. Later, when you found out that even an orphan like me had someone who liked me, I even caught the attention of the Crown Prince, you rushed to invite me to Kaiyuan Temple, eager to tell me the truth." I took a deep breath and said, "Lord Lin, you may love me, but your love is too lofty." It was Prince Husher who, from the beginning to the end, respected me. He learned the truth from Lin Shenju and brought him to see me, giving me the choice. "Lord Lin, please return," I said. "From now on, do not come to see me again. Since we have already missed our chance, why force it further?" Lin Shenshu's cold eyes seemed to be stained with blood, and his feet remained rooted to the spot. I sighed and said, "Since you once so freely discarded the matchmaker's red string, please let go now without hesitation." I no longer looked at him and turned back into the house. When Husher saw me return, he quickly stepped forward and pulled me into his embrace. His arm trembled slightly, as if in fear. I teased him. "If you're so reluctant to part with me, why did you bring him to see me?" "I didn't want him to meet you," Hesha said, "but after careful thought, I realized it might be better for him to see you. Once you know the truth of what happened back then, you'll understand that being betrayed was never your fault. It was his foolishness. You're good. You've always been good." Hesha gazed at me with deep affection, placing a kiss on my forehead, then my nose, and finally my lips. The sound of Lin Shenshu's hurried footsteps retreating echoed behind me. "Yuan Luo, see you tomorrow," Hesha said to me with intense eyes. My cheeks flushed red, and I replied to him, "See you tomorrow." The next day, I wore a phoenix coronet and a bridal gown, stepping into the palanquin heading to the Crown Prince's residence. However, an accident occurred before the bridal sedan could even set off. Lin Shenju, disheveled and in disarray, stepped in front of me, extending a hand covered in tiny bloodstains. He held out a red cord, filthy and unrecognizable, and pleaded with me, "Yuan Luo, look, the red cord of the matchmaker. I've found it again. I've found the red cord. Can you give me another chance?" "Yuan Luo, it's my fault. I thought you only had me, so I didn't consider your feelings. I thought that no matter what, you would never leave me. I thought I could handle everything. I was wrong, and I apologize to you. I will definitely change in the future. Please, Yuan Luo, for the sake of me finding this red rope, don't marry him. I can give up being the Marquis. I'll go beg my aunt, and I'll take you far away, leaving the capital behind, as long as you agree. I'll handle everything." He spoke with deep sincerity, and by the end, he was almost about to kneel before me. I shook my head and said, "Marquis Lin, you've misunderstood. The line I said to you yesterday, about having once decisively cut the red thread of fate, wasn't referring to the one you cut, but the one I cut. Please step aside. Don't delay the auspicious time for me and the Crown Prince." After saying this, I moved around him, and with Yinga's support, I got into the bridal sedan chair. Lin Shenju slumped to the ground, looking at the rope in his hand. He suddenly threw it away but then scrambled to pick it up, using the hem of his robe to wipe off the dirt. He looked quite pitiful, but I felt no pity for him at all. When I was younger and less experienced, I thought deep feelings were rare, but after doing timber business in Yongju and meeting more people and experiencing more, I realized that some deep feelings are even cheaper than grass. The bridal sedan chair circled around Green Sparrow Street for a long time before finally stopping in front of the prince's residence. Prince Husher, dressed in red wedding attire, kicked open the sedan door and carried me out of the chair. "Are your injuries okay?" I asked him softly. "I'm completely fine now. Your husband is in great shape," the Crown Prince replied softly. He carried me over the fire basin, his arms strong and steady, his steps firm. It seems his injuries are indeed fully healed. My heart was pounding, and I could hear his heartbeat, a bit hurried, by my ear. I silently told myself in my heart, "Yuan Luo, this is your choice. This is the person you have chosen to spend your life with. You must support each other and live the rest of your life well." After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.